What is up, everyone? This is Cosmic Cassie. I got a little bit of a cough, so if I have to pause, give me just a minute. Be patient, right? This is a message for just anyone who might need it, okay? You can call it a timeless reading. Call it whatever you want. A lot of this is channeled wisdom, experience, knowledge, messages, whatever you would like to call it. That's totally fine. I got tarot just in case we jump into that. But I wanted to share a lot of things around life. Okay, this is very important for me to share a message like this. And as you see, my setup is not like the absolute best because I'm doing this on a whim. But sorry. What I want to share, guys, is sometimes when you're going through things that are really difficult, okay, when you feel like the world is against you, when you feel like nothing's working out, nothing is going right, when you start to feel those kind of energies, I understand that it might be hard to bounce back from them. It might be hard to find your footing and stay strong and move forward. And one of the really difficult things that I've been learning in my spirituality, some people say it's because like my astrologer friends are like, oh, you're Pisces Saturn, it's Saturn return right now and you're having the Saturn return, right? So maybe it is that. I don't know. But what I wanted to say about it is that I've been learning that sometimes strength is not always a good thing. Seriously. I was raised to be strong. I moved out at 14. I got emancipated by 16. I moved to Arizona, lived here, was by myself at 18, moved here at 17, and made a way for myself. And I've always been strong. I've always been a very strong, resilient kind of person, and I've taken a lot of pride in the fact that I am a strong person. I've taken a lot of, I put a lot of value in that. I put a lot of my identity in my strength, in my peace of mind, knowing that no matter what comes at me, I can take it. I can overcome it. I can do it. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. That's how I was raised. That's the blood that runs through me. I've never had it easy. And to me, I'm an optimistic, whatever you want to call it. And so to me, I was optimistic about that. That never seemed like something negative that I wanted to, pity myself about or whine about or, even showcase, get into my ego with it. That's not even that kind of energy. It's more of, I know who I am because I am a strong, resilient person. But the side effects, the symptoms are the things that I don't feel like we ever really talk about. And that's one of the things I want to mention. Is the symptoms of having that kind of resilience and strength, especially as a woman. And that's all I can give you as a woman's perspective, because that's what I am. I'm a woman. That's the only perspective I have, okay? And what I realized, and it took me this long to realize it, the symptom, the side effect is, first off, I never trusted anyone else to do it but me. I only believed that I was the only one capable of doing it the right way, getting it done, getting it completed. And that made me very impatient with waiting for people, waiting for results, waiting for things to happen. It made me want to step in and take over and take control. And that overburdened me. That made me feel like it was always me that had to do everything, even though in reality it wasn't. I had people that were willing to do things for me. I had people through my life that were capable of doing things that I needed help with, but another symptom is I never asked them to. I had a hard time asking people to do things for me because I had this rooted ego mindset that only I could get it done the right way, and I'm the only reliable person in my life. I'm the only strong enough person to get it done. I'm the only one that cares enough to get it done. I can only rely and depend on me, on Cassie, on no one else. And that's a really isolating feeling sometimes. That's a really, without even realizing you're isolating yourself, you are. And another symptom with that is You push people away unintentionally. You don't realize you're doing it, but you push people away. You push them away by telling them, I have no value for you in my life. Yes, I can appreciate you. I can show gratitude. I can have immense gratitude for anything that I receive. But what you're ultimately telling that person with your attitude, the way you only show up for you and the way that you refuse to rely on them and trust them to handle things in your life, you're telling them you hold no value here. You hold no purpose here. And I think this is one of those things that a lot of women struggle with, specifically single women that are in this independent strength kind of energy. The message that you give to men sometimes without realizing it is a message saying you hold no purpose. There is no reason for you to be here. Although we as women are like, well, we want love, we want affection, we want partnership. Maybe I love without condition, without expectation, without need. Men need expectation. Seriously, men need expectation. And I know there's a lot of men that might disagree with me on that. Men need expectation because it gives them a drive and a purpose to do something. And that is what men strive off of, in my understanding, in my education, in my experience. They cannot do anything and show up for you in any way if they don't feel like there is something that they solely can do for you that will help you, that will aid you, that will support you, that will assist you. And when you rob them of that purpose, that reason to be there, and I don't mean in the womanly way of reason of like, well, it's just love, I want to be loved. No, they need a purpose. They need a real material, physical purpose to do something. It can't just be to love you, because they could love any woman. They could love anyone. They could love their friends. Love is not what's going to make them stay. If that is the only purpose that you give them is to love you, sometimes that's not good enough. For us women, we may think it is, and we may feel that it is, but not for them. For them, they need a cause. They need a drive to strive to do something. And when you hold them to expectations of how they can show up in your life, of what they can do for you, physical things they can do for you, not just emotional, because we're the emotional ones, yes. Emotional capacity is important, but you have to have expectation with men, otherwise they don't have a drive to do anything specific for you, and that's just how men are tailored, right? So sometimes we ruin our own relationships not even realizing. We think we're less to deal with, we think we're easy to deal with because we're so low maintenance and we can take care of ourselves, and you don't have to worry about me relying on you. You don't have to worry about me clinging on you. You ain't got to worry about me coming to you with my problems, my issues. You don't have to worry about me asking you for anything. But the truth is, that's really what men need. That's what they need from a woman. That's what lets them feel like a man. That's what helps them feel like a man. That's that purpose that you create for them to have a drive to fulfill. Okay? So we unintentionally drive men away from us. We drive our relationships into the ground because we don't feel like we can rely on anyone. We don't ask for nothing. We think it's a good thing being low maintenance, and sometimes it's not. We think it's a good thing standing in our strength all the time, being resilient, resistant all the time. That is a masculine trait, not a feminine trait. And again, I can only give you the perspective as a woman because that's all I am as a woman. I don't know how it is for men that are in this kind of energy. To me, they thrive because that's a good energy to be in, right? But I don't know. And another symptom of that energy, of being in that independent, resilient, I am strong, I can do all, I can be all energy, you forget how to emotionally connect. It creates you to create a shell around you of not being vulnerable, of not allowing yourself to let people into your inner world. And this is these are symptoms, right? These are not core issues that you already held. These are symptoms that I believe come from being a strong, independent, resilient, I don't need no one, I can do it all on my own person. You get shit done, yeah? But you do it by putting your guards up. And I believe that happens because when you're in that energy, in your mind, excuse me, in your mind, It's almost like if I let someone in, they're just going to ruin my plan. They're going to sabotage it. They're going to be jealous of how capable I am, and they're going to mooch off of me. They're going to ride my coattail. They're going to use me. You create all these fears that really don't exist, and they are self-fulfilling prophecies because you validate them through the relationships and the people you attract. You attract people that use you for your strength and resilience. You attract men and friends who will stay in your life and get what they need and want from you because you don't ask for nothing, so they don't have to do anything to get it. You will find people that will make you feel victimized. Excuse me. So you create a shell. Because a part of that belief of I'm the only one who's doing this, I'm the only one who's capable of it, comes the other side of that belief, which is they're going to sabotage me. It's a little ego, right? I'm so good at this. I'm so amazing at doing this. I'm so self-reliant and capable that if anyone tries to come in and do something for me, more than likely they're trying to take. They're trying to manipulate. They're trying to, get advantage, to get something. There's a hidden motive. Sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not, but it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will attract people that will try to do exactly that if you have that belief, if that is your symptom. Another symptom, ladies, and I feel like this is a very big one. The time comes, and this is what I've experienced, and I experienced it even recently. And I've experienced many versions of it, but I think this is probably one of the biggest ones I've experienced more recently. But there's going to come a time where you can't do it on your own, where you can't handle it all on your own, where you can't stay independent, self-reliant, self-sufficient. You need someone. You need help, right? And what happens is it destroys your confidence. It destroys the feeling of not being in lack energy, of who you are. You destroy yourself just by having to rely and ask on other people, because typically when you're in that energy, ladies, you identify with that energy. You make it your identity. That is how people see me, and I am prideful of that. I am proud of it. I show this. I represent this in every way. I'm independent. I'm self-sufficient. I don't need anyone. That is an identity that you attach yourself to. And then you have all these validating points that, yes, this is who I am. But the moment that you get a problem that's too big for you to handle on your own, and you are forced to ask for help and call people in, your whole identity is destroyed, because you are so focused on making your identity about self-sufficiency and independence that when you have to do something opposite of that, you feel the opposite. You feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel like an imposter, you feel like a failure, you feel not capable. And that then reinforces the need to prove to everyone that you are independent and self-sufficient. So then it actually antagonizes the situation worse. Okay? And then it becomes a perpetual cycle of having to feel like now that's another symptom, need to prove I can take care of myself. I have to prove I can take care of myself. And that comes in as a symptom when your identity is destroyed, when you have to ask for help, when you need help, when you need someone to come in and help you do something. That identity is destroyed, and now the ego wants to rebuild it in a stronger, bigger, better way by saying, no, now you got to prove to everyone that this is who you are, because you're a contradiction to your identity. You destroyed your identity. People don't see you as this anymore. Now you have to rebuild it in a reinforced way. You have to prove that that's what you are. Okay? So the longer you stay in an energy like this, ladies, my point is, your bag of symptoms gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you're carrying a burden, and it becomes a burden to be independent. It becomes a burden to be self-sufficient. It becomes a burden, a lonely, heavy, deep burden. because the longer you are in that energy, the more symptoms you create, and the more symptoms you will have to find a way to heal, release, and understand that you have them in the first place. And the difficult thing with this kind of path, and this happens in many other areas as well, not just independence and strength. Sorry, it's a dry cough. I'm getting over being sick with like a viral infection, so it's just a dry cough now. But this happens in other areas too, and in other ways. But in every one of those ways, when you have a core problem, sometimes it's really difficult to pinpoint the core problem, because the longer you have it, the more symptoms you create. And then you start to think maybe those symptoms are the core issues, and they're not. And so I encourage anyone who is resonating with this, or this sounds familiar, this sounds like something you do or you experience, I encourage you to almost create a web chart. Create what you think your core issues are, your core challenges are. Write them down. And then web it out. What are the symptoms of this core challenge? And if it's hard to come up with symptoms of that core challenge, you might come to realize that that core is actually a symptom of something different. And that means you need to dig a little deeper. You need to do a little bit more self-discovery. You need to become a little more self-aware and figure out what's the real core issue. Because I'm telling you, once you identify the core issue, that's half the problem, that's half the battle, that's half the solution, okay? So if you are struggling with healing, with your journey of healing, with your journey of stepping into a new reality, you feel like you're constantly blocked, and you have these challenges and obstacles, and you don't understand why, and you don't know why, and you can't figure it out, and I've done so much healing, and I have clients like this that say this all the time. I want you to take a piece of paper, put a circle in the middle, and think about it, reflect on it. What do I think my core issue is? What do I think the issue is that all of these things kind of stem from? And sometimes you have multiple core issues, only focus on one at a time. Don't get overwhelmed, don't get overjoyous, don't get too motivated to do this, okay? One core issue at a time. And if you think that's what it is, write it down and stem off every symptom that happens and is created from that core issue. On average, you should be able to easily come up with 5 to 7 different symptoms that are associated with that core issue. If you struggle to create symptoms, to come up with plausible, not repeated, right? You don't want to make a symptom like, I always forget things, and then put another system. People get upset with me and relationships are ruined because I don't remember important things. You're repeating it, right? These need to be very individual symptoms. If you struggle to create 5 to 7 of them, maybe that's not your core issue that you thought it was. Maybe that thing that you think is your core issue is actually a symptom of a different core issue. You understand? So we need to start learning how to decipher a symptom from a core issue. Because a lot of times I think we tackle symptoms, but that doesn't solve anything. We have to be able to acknowledge, understand, recognize when it is a symptom versus a core issue. And once you find the right core issue, it's going to be so easy to be like, whoa, I attract the wrong friends because I do this. I like to nurture and invest in, emotional dependency. I become codependent myself. It's like when you start to stem off and it hits you and it resonates and it's like, oh my gosh, I do all these things because of this one core issue. That means you have successfully found a core issue. But to me, it's not a core issue if you can't get 5 to 7 unique symptoms. If you have less than that, that's most likely a symptom of a bigger core issue, okay? So that's kind of what I wanted to mention about my own personal experience when it comes to being independent and resilient and being prideful about that. Not everything is good when you have too much of it, right? Too much of a good thing is bad. There's a balance we all have to strike. And I want you to consider that balance is something that we have to strike in everything we do. If we are independent, that needs to be balanced. We can't be too independent and we can't be too under independent, right? Sorry, children. So my whole purpose of saying that is that that's my experience. Everything needs to be balanced out. Everything has a balance. Everything has a balance. Oh, it looks like I have a toupee hat. Everything has a balance, guys. And everything also has core. Now, it can be, I want you to think about it, it's kind of like an oversoul, right? Let's see if I have a piece of paper here. I want to show you. See if I can find something here. Okay. Let me fold this up, or I'll go to the back. Sometimes it's similar to, oh, this isn't even a pen. It's like an oversoul, you know? And, I think this is a pen that doesn't even work. We'll see. We'll see. So same thing, oversoul, right? Sometimes, if this is your core issue, and you identify all your symptoms, right? And you're like, okay, I have a core with symptoms. Sometimes what you will find, guys, and again, don't try to tackle this all at once, one core issue at a time, but as you tackle these core issues, what happens is you realize this is a core, nice big C, and then I have another core over here, you know, so when I identify this core issue, I move on to the next one, I fix it, resolve it, whatever, months later, years later, doesn't matter. I identify another core issue, all these symptoms that go along with it. Oh, and then I identify another core issue over here, all these symptoms that go along with it. Okay. I've got all these 3 core issues, I'm on a roll, I'm doing something, and then you suddenly realize these 3 core issues are symptoms of an even bigger core. And you realize that your biggest core, your root core, has created multiple core issues with their own symptoms. That happens. That's normal. Okay? There's nothing wrong with you if you find out that that's what's happening to you. And then once you realize that, that's when you can begin to be like, oh my gosh, it's created this core symptom. And it has all these symptoms from that core. Right? Okay? So it creates a web, a bigger web, the more you do this. And in that case, what you want to consider is still tackling these small core issues, understanding that this is the main issue that eventually needs to be resolved. It just helps you, it's like a puzzle. It helps you identify other core issues that you have. How does a symptom become a core issue itself and have other symptoms? It's that same thing that I was talking about. The longer that you are in that energy of straight, I'm independent, I'm resilient, I can do it all by myself. Imagine carrying a bag. The longer you walk, the bigger that bag gets because it's collecting symptoms along the way. So the longer you stay in that energy, subconsciously not realizing you're in that energy, it just keeps on collecting symptom. Years go by of this core issue, and you now have a huge bag of symptoms for a symptom. And that creates a new core energy because now it's bigger than a symptom. It has now created its own symptoms surrounding it, right? That's how that happens. So guys, I'll keep it short. I'm trying to keep it short, but that's what I wanted to share. That's what I wanted to talk about because I'm having these revelations and I'm going through these things on my own and I'm really understanding healing in a very different, unique way. And I just want to share that knowledge with you guys because I think if it can help you guys heal as well, it's worth sharing. It's worth putting out there. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. I would love to know if this is something that you guys have experienced as well, if this is a healing technique that you have used as well. If you want to know more, if you have questions, please cosmiccassie@outlook.com is my email. But I would love you to put it in the comments. That way other people can see the question and the response and it might help them as well. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.